Hey guys, Dr. Hampton here with health, wellness, and performance expert Navin Hettiarachchi. Navin was a guest on podcast episode number 44, where Navin shared his insights on health and wellness. During that episode, Navin shared in great detail his 4 pillars to health. So make sure to check out that episode. But today, Navin is here to tell you why diabetics are not the only ones that should have a continuous glucose monitor. We also call those CGMs. So, Navin, what is up with us having a continuous glucose monitor and we're not diabetics?
Tony, great question. So my journey to CGM really started about 4 years ago. So obviously, you know that I do functional medicine, and I've been doing functional medicine, blood work, stool, urine for the Washington Wizards for about 8 years, and then during that time. And obviously, my nutrition is super clean. There's really no sugar in there. But I found myself fasting glucose of 90. Right? If you go to a conventional medicine doctor, if you look at your glucose 90, you get an A plus plus. But I knew coming through a functional medicine lens that 90 is okay, because if in like 1930 to 1970, the average glucose is about 75, 80 before all these processed foods and came. Right now we kind of lower the bar because the general population is around 90 to 100 fasting glucose. So I knew there's something going on in myself. Like, I wasn't happy, so I need to troubleshoot. And that's about 4 years ago. It's when the CGM came out, and I was, one of the first people to get my hands on because of my biohacking. I was able to access it. So Tony, I wore it, and I'm like, this is gonna be great. So I'm going through the day. Obviously, the bars at 75, 80 max. It's great. No highs or lows, and then the first day, I'm ready to, I'm late for a 7 o'clock game. It's 4 o'clock, and I'm in the shower. I'm rushing and getting ready. Then, right when I'm in the elevator, I'm looking at my glucose. It's like 140. I'm like, what? So I'm like backtracking. I'm like, okay, it's 4 o'clock. I didn't eat anything at 2. My lunch was at 12. Like, it should have been out of my system. Obviously it's like maybe some fish or something, vegetables. Like, there's nothing sugar. Like, why 140? I couldn't understand it, right? I was like, it's not working. Something's wrong. Then now I'm driving. Now it just stays at 140, 150. I'm like, what's going on? So this just continued to happen, game after game, game after game. And I realized that it's nothing to do with my food. Okay. The reason that my glucose was going up is because of my mindfulness, because of my monkey mind, because of my stress. So I was causing high glucose, right, is going to lead into high insulin. Metabolic inflexibility is because of my
Mm-hmm.
my mindfulness, not being mindful. And especially everyone who's listening to you, us here, everyone's in this community is eating healthy, but we forget that being mindful is another part of being healthy. We gotta be present. It's not about yesterday, it's not about tomorrow. Being here now, it's not about rewinding, it's not about fast forward. Are you playing play? Are you pressing play, and are you being here? By you being here, my glucose came down, right? Not only that, so that was like easy to fix. Then I realized that when I was in the shower, I was able to like do grounded meditation. When I'm in the shower, I'm like already planning, okay, with this play I gotta do this, with this play I gotta do this. I was all over, and I'm late, I was all over. So now when I go to the shower, I'm like, I feel the water, I am here, I am present, I am enjoying now.
That's
Because
right.
when you are not, that's being mindful. When you are not mindful, you're thinking forward and past stuff that you can control. What I could control now is
Right.
now, and that's how we become healing. So that's my one story. My next story is that I was able to, by knowing that, sometimes I eat avocado and spoon of honey or sweet potato. Obviously my glucose is going to go up to like say 85, 90. Now I know I go to the corner, I stay in silence for 10 minutes, and all of a sudden my glucose come back to 70. So,
What?
Tony, what that shows is that in 10 minutes, I'm able to have a systemic effort just by being here, be meditation. So when, people ask me, hey, give me your best supplements. I'm like, it's really in between your ears. It's in between, it's in really in your head. That's your best supplements, best way to heal. If I can heal myself in 10 minutes, get my glucose down, right? Then obviously we know down the line what healthy benefit that happening because we are bringing the glucose down. Everyone could do it. Then I have a crazy story about my dad. So my dad, obviously we grew up in Sri Lanka. We ate so many bananas. My dad he would eat like 5 bananas a day. He loved it. And my dad probably about
Five
50 pounds.
bananas.
Yeah, 5 bananas, right? About 50 pounds overweight.
Every banana has about 6 or 7 teaspoons of sugar in every
Right, about
banana.
17 grams, right? So 17
That's how
grams of
much.
sugar. So
It's a
that's close to
ton.
100
Yeah,
grams, right?
yeah.
So it's like close to like 3 pack of M&Ms every day. So like I kind of teach my dad like, hey, about food, but he never got it. But I gave him a CGM. It's kind of cool, right? Everybody loves technology, and my dad loves using the iPhone. So I gave it to my dad like COVID time. Man, this guy was scanning it every minute. And the end story is that my dad saw how much of a effect that the banana had is in his body, right? It how high the glucose went,
Hmm.
also how low the glucose went. It was causing a high and a low. Not only that, when my dad saw it, he started tinkering with foods. He was like, hey, this has too much of a glycemic index on my food. So he took out the bananas and the oatmeals, right? Two cups of rice, right? He took out all this food, and look, now I saw my dad today. He probably literally lost like 50 pounds. He is at the same weight as he was in ninth grade. So Tony, we
Wow.
need to understand that how each food affects it. The rice, 1 cup of rice is going to affect me differently than my wife. The sweet potato is going to affect me. Even though these are great food, even though we are all low carbohydrate, we got to understand how that food, even if that's not food, how is our mindful affect this glucose. So it's highly recommend. At the moment we need a prescription, so go to your doctor and ask the doctor for it, just to evaluate it. This is just like taking your car to the mechanic and say, hey, how's my tire pressure, right? You want to check your tire pressure.
Hmm.
So this is a good way of checking your tire pressure on your own. Understanding, you got nothing to lose, understanding how food affects us.
I love it, man. I just think that that's awesome. I'm listening to you, and I jotted down so if you can't, so you're going to try to talk to your clinician, try to get that CGM. If they insist on not doing it, only thing that may be an alternative to know if your sugars are not going well is a fasting insulin level, because it actually can predict if your sugar's been running high uh, before you even notice that your sugars are running high. So I just
Yeah.
want to say that out loud. I like this idea of meditating, because that little meditation you described, you can do that in the car. I mean, for 10 minutes. So I really appreciate your advice. Who'd have known that continuous glucose monitor would be helpful for the people who are not diabetic? So thank you for your insight. And guys, if you want to hear more about Navin's pillars of health, check out podcast episode number 44. And in that episode, we discuss more health related topics. I really appreciate you guys from checking out my channel. I'm going to keep bringing these great guests, and make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video, and maybe even comment. So until we meet again, be safe, be well, and continue to protect your nest. Thank you, my friend, for being here.
Thank you, Tony.
No problem.